Hey y'all, welcome to the Coyote Trapping School podcast. As always, I'm your host Chris Pope, coming at you today from, forget about the fur shed, I'm coming at you from the leather factory. I've been pumping out some leather products that I'm super excited about. So if you follow me on social, golly, I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago now, I made a post of a couple of wallets that I'd made, a roper style, a large bifold wallet, and then just a card holder wallet. And I just posted them on Instagram and Facebook, and just kind of I was excited about how they turned out, and man, I got kind of a flood, more than I expected, of response, and folks wanted to order some. So unfortunately, I was kind of at the end of my last batch of beaver tails that I'd had tanned. So thankfully I had just enough to complete the orders that I got, and I'm hoping any day now to get word of my next shipment of beaver tails that are tanned and ready to come back to me. But what I've got here, I've got these are some of the beaver tail roper style wallets. You can see I got them accented. If you hadn't, I'm bad about posting because it's so easy to post on Instagram and share it on Facebook, and maybe not keeping my YouTube and podcast audience up to date, but are giving y'all dibs first option. But I'm super pumped with how these things are turning out. So these are a cow leather overall with a beaver tail accent on the outside, and I like the way that I'm doing it. I guess that goes without saying, but I'm using the natural edge of the beaver tail on the inside of the wallet. So the three sides are cut flush to make the wallet, but then the side of that's inside the wallet is the natural edge of the beaver tail. And man, I just feel like, I think that looks really sharp. You got a money holder clip right, or not clip, but pocket right there. You've got kind of two hidden pockets up underneath, another hidden pocket, and then your, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card slots right there too, for, like I say, a roper style, to fit in your back pocket. It's gonna kind of stick out. I got these kind of what I'm calling like a rustic color wallets, and then I had one that just did kind of all. I had several walnut beaver tails, and then I had this one was a chocolate beaver tail, and so it was a little bit darker, so I used a little bit darker pattern with it, so it's more of it's not the rustic kind of weathered look. But you got your roper styles. I got the bifold that I'm working on. I think I can tweak this a little bit, get it a little bit smaller. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good chunk. So the design is, you got your 2 card slots on either side, hidden pocket underneath, and then your cash pocket in the back. I'm digging it, but like I said, I got a little tweaking to that design, and then I've got a card holder wallet that it's actually what I've been carrying the last couple weeks, and I'm liking it. Just got a large beaver tail slot on the front, and then 2 card slots on the back, and then an additional card or cash storage in the middle there. So got several of these they'll be shipping out to customers here directly. I had one other one. I've got a kind of a, I don't have it, it's inside. I've also got a kind of a money clip style wallet. It's the first one that I actually made that I've been carrying for a long time. For me, it's made entirely out of deer leather, and it's a front pocket style wallet. That's, you got a little more storage than the card holder style wallet, but being the deer leather, it's so soft that it doesn't take up a lot of room in your front pocket. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's kind of a design that I just made up myself, and it's been working, and I've liked it, and it's something that I think I can apply to. I still got these beaver and coyote hides and stuff. I think it's something I can do there. And then one of the ones that I'm most pumped and excited about, and if you're listening to this on a podcast, I starting this off on the beginning. Jump over to YouTube and just watch the first couple minutes and check these things out. One that I'm super excited about is a snapping turtle wallet. This is the roper style, the long wallet, but it's got a snapping turtle tail going right down the middle, and you get the ridges that are on the tail at the top. They're just high enough that when it's sitting in your back pocket, it's going to be up where you're not going to be sitting on those ridges and you won't feel it, but it's going to be just enough. It'll be easy to snag with your finger, slip it out of your pocket, and then I think it looks awesome. I've got 2 snapping turtles actually out behind the shed that I've got to get skinned and sent off with my next batch of beaver tails to go ahead and get those in a lineup for tanning. But I've had a really good response from the beaver tail stuff so far. I'm really excited about that. And then I've got some alligator hides. I've got some other stuff that I'm wanting to tinker around with and just trying to kind of expand things and produce and provide something from the resource that we are all excited and gung-ho and enjoy taking part of, and instead of shipping that stuff off somewhere else to let somebody else deal with it, trying to use it here, trying to make use of it, and use that as a way to kind of share our cause. If you're walking around with a snapping turtle wallet in your back pocket, that's sure to get some questions from some people about who you are, what you do, and what the heck you're doing with that, or even the beaver tail. So with that, I'll transition. I was just going to go through John Zander of Zander Fur. I interviewed him on one of the early podcasts last year, one of the early podcasts of the podcast itself. We talked about the fur market, and he is a fur buyer. He is in the fur industry as I guess as much as you can be without actually producing something. His family runs Zander Fur out of, I think they're right outside of Philadelphia, but they buy fur from they buy all kinds of fur, and then they have end users and fur producers in China and in Europe and all that they fulfill those orders and buy that fur and then ship to them to produce. So he's a wealth of knowledge, and it's been on my list to contact him and try to get a market update. And out of the blue, a couple weeks ago, he sent me an update, and so I was going to share it with y'all. I think it's pretty timely, and the biggest thing is there's not a lot of changes from last year. So we'll just dive right into it. Some of it I'll just read word for word just because to make sure I'm not missing anything. But he said his dad had just returned from visiting customers in China, and he'll be heading over in early November. So he's sure he'll have more updates to come in November. That's pretty cool to me that this job that is originated from us trappers. I hate to say kind of what comes to mind is like backwoods, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but just country folks that enjoy the outdoors, enjoy taking part and being an active participant in conservation of the resources that we got, but us, trappers that country folks that do our practice our craft in the backwoods, in the rural areas of rural America that a lot of people don't even think about or realize, and it's providing, this family, these guys that have, taken opportunity. They're flying across the world to sell the fur that me and you are catching right here in middle of nowhere, Georgia. So that fascinates me to no end. I think that is super cool. So, continuing on. No surprise, coyotes will be king again this year, and prices will continue to be hot. There's still strong demand for all sections of coyotes from markets all over the world. This is one item. This is important. This is one item that isn't only dominated by Asian manufacturers, and that has really helped keep the coyote trend going. So that's a huge plus. A lot of these other items are going right to China, and China with the ranch fur alternatives and them being kind of the only market for some of this stuff, they can kind of drive what they're willing to offer what they're willing to pay. So, so here again, coyotes are going to be worth pursuing. To a lesser extent, the heavier raccoons have been used for trim, and they compete with other trim items like Chinese raccoon and ranch fox that have been relatively cheap lately. Thing about coyotes is they have a pretty distinct look that helps them stand out from other trims. The biggest use for most raccoons has been in linings. Let me mute this thing. The biggest use for most raccoons has still been for linings. Short, semi-heavy, and coons from your section, meaning the South, have fit this bill nicely. Don't anticipate any major price increases, but at current levels similar to last year's prices, demand is still steady. So the one thing that we've talked about in the past is with the fur market, part of the driver for the fur market, the way it's been in the last couple of years is, I guess in the early teens, 12, 13, 14-ish, fur prices kind of spiked, and so that I guess encouraged folks to expand their ranch fur businesses and offerings. And so like oftentimes does in the wild fur market, as prices go up, more people get in the game, there's more supply, and sometimes the market gets oversupplied, which then causes there's more supply than there is demand, which brings price back down, and everything and it takes a couple of years for that excess to work out of the system, and I don't know that we've seen it to the extent that it is right now of such a high ranch fur offering, and some ranches just liquidating all of their stock, which is just piling even more fur on the market. And so that's what's keeping it, in my opinion and limited view of the fur market, that's what's continuing to keep the market down, is there's continues to be a glut of especially ranch fur, and they're more inclined to move that ranch fur because that's their livelihood versus a lot of us trappers is just doing this as a sideline, and so they can buy that ranch fur cheaper than they can buy wild fur, whereas historically wild fur has been a cheaper alternative to ranch fur, and so as ranch fur prices and demand went up, the demand and prices for wild fur tended to go up. I don't know that we've ever seen in the reverse, as ranch fur prices and demand drops out, wild fur does the same. So some talking about raccoons and the lining, some of the lining manufacturers have tried alternatives to raccoon that they felt are inexpensive, such as red fox. The only downside to that is red fox is at historically low prices, and so that shouldn't at least be a long-term alternative, hopefully. So John says, we do think that fox will continue to struggle this season, and prices may even dip below last season. This, of course, could change if some of the companies experimenting with them on linings are able to start a new trend that catches on. So there again, it's funny how fickle this market is, and how all it takes is the right influencer to take an Instagram picture with a red fox lined parka, and that could change, shift the tide of things, at least probably short term, so to speak. Excuse me. It's funny how it can be hard to pinpoint how and what is going to affect the fur market. So, moving on, muskrat demand has picked up a bit with colder weather anticipated in China and a lower than normal harvest last season, creating a bit of scarcity. We expect them to be strong heading into the beginning of the season, and an uptick in prices could be likely. So, if you got rats in your area, that might be a good thing worth targeting. One thing we have found over the years is that typically price is the main driving factor in production quantity, and increased prices should be a good incentive for trappers to catch more. One wild card for muskrats is that our U.S. rats compete with muskrats from other countries such as Kazakhstan, Russia, China, and to a lesser extent European countries. So not something you think about every day. Kazakhstan producing muskrats that compete with ours. Although ours are viewed as the best quality of them all, price is often the biggest factor in which countries' muskrats are preferred. At the end of last season, a big quantity of really cheap Kazakhstan muskrats came onto the market in China and depressed prices. So there again, you get opportunities, and things seem to be going one way, and then you get somebody, whether it's a wild fur buyer that is holding a lot of stock that is kind of off the market, or these ranch fur, these ranches that all of a sudden they say, hey, I need to move these, and that kind of throws the monkey wrench in the whole system. We expect items like, this is back to John, we expect items like wild mink and otter, possum and otter to continue to struggle. I don't think anybody ever expects a possum to do spectacularly. If they do, I am going to be a wealthy trapper. Wild mink continue to compete with their bigger, more uniform ranch meat cousins, which are still relatively cheap. This is especially true for the Chinese-produced ranch meat. There is some light demand for otter, but mainly at cheap price levels that may discourage trappers from targeting them. And possums have been mostly dead in the water for quite some time, and this should be the case again this year. No shocker there. Beaver is still dominated by the hatter market, but even that has softened slightly. We've moved a few for garments, but at price levels similar to hatters. We expect demand to basically remain stable this year, and we'll continue to price them at similar levels to last year. The upside, high-priced or caster prices should continue and are still a good incentive to catch them. So, I'm not exactly sure what all is driving the caster market, but I do think that because beaver prices have been low, there has been less supply of beaver pelts, and because there are less people targeting beavers, that is also means there's less caster available. And so, I mean, that's been seen, with trap and supply dealers that often buy caster to use for their lures, paying anywhere from $50 to $100 a pound for caster. So that's something, at the very least, if you're trapping beavers, you need to be saving those casters, because odds are, if you catch some nice big caster beavers, the caster may be worth more than the hide itself. Excuse me. Bobcats, particularly the commercial type, like in your sections of the South, remain fairly easy to move at the current price levels. They've been a cheap alternative to the high-dollar Western cats. John says they don't get too much into the fancy Western types unless they have a specific order for them, but they expect the Western cats to remain strong. And that kind of wraps up and is a general outlook. Overall, not expecting a lot to change. We've still got apparently a lot of this ranch fur that's working through the market and trying to get that stuff moved. So we'll see. I did a survey. I mentioned it last episode, and hopefully most of y'all saw it on either Facebook or I think or one of the emails that I sent. But I did a survey about my audience and kind of why you trap, and not terribly surprising, but the vast majority of folks is they trap because we trap because we love to trap. We're trappers at heart, and all this stuff doesn't really mean a hill of beans. We're not in it for the money. It's nice to get a check, but in the end, we're in it for the experience, for the management, for all the fringe benefits, you could say, that trapping offers. And so that's been one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately, and probably in the next podcast I'll share some of the results of that survey. It was just a 4-question survey, but I think it was really helpful to me to get a sense from you guys, from the audience that listens to me and tunes into what I'm putting out there, of where you're at, what you're interested in, and what I can do to hopefully help you in your endeavors, in your trapping endeavors, whatever. So I am excited. Hopefully by the time the next podcast comes around and I talk about survey. I'll also talk about another thing that I'm working on right now that I'm really excited about, that I hope is going to be a big help, and hopefully help more people that are right there on the bubble, that are right there, that you started, but you're not getting a whole lot of traction and just want that little bit extra to really, improve your catches, improve your trap line. And so I am excited about that. I really appreciate all of y'all that have responded to the survey. If you hadn't, there's a link in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, go and hit up the survey. It won't take you but 2 minutes. I promise it's super simple and easy. But I'm pretty excited about kind of what I'm trying to plan out through this trapping season, and I hope it's going to be helpful. I hope it gets some good reception. I think it will be. So otherwise, y'all be on the lookout if the beaver tail stuff interests you. I got another one actually over here. This is one I haven't posted either, but it's one I was experimenting with a little bit. It's kind of a vertical bifold wallet, small. It's a little bit it's veg tan. I had a couple of these kind of peanut brill tails that I'm messing around with, so I probably won't have a bunch of these, but my plan is, once I get the next shipment in, to try to have enough of these made that I can post them on the website. And all of these I basically told people, let me make them, and then I'll get with you. I want to in the future have it the other way around, so I've got some already made, and I can say, hey, if you want one, go to the website and put your order in, and you can get it shipped out ASAP as soon as you get your order in, instead of having to wait for me to make it. But also be sure, if you need your trapping bag, I don't have one. I don't have mine right here, but with trapping season coming up, be sure to go to the website, look up the short liner trapping bag, and if you need a good trapping bag for this season, for your coyote gear and your land trapping that all your tools will fit into, I got you covered there. You can look that up, and that's what I used all last season, giving it the test, the trap line test, and it performed, and I've been super excited about that. I appreciate all of you that have purchased those as well. So I really appreciate the support that y'all have given me and have put in here for what I'm putting out, what I'm trying to put forth. Helping to try to promote and preserve this thing that clearly we all love, regardless of what we get from it. The monetary benefit, the other benefits outweigh any of that, and we're going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it because I'm a trapper. It boils down to it. I'm a trapper through and through, and if you're tuned in listening to this, you are too. I know you are. So also, I've heard we've got a few people. I've had some people reach out to me that have just found the podcast and are just tuning in. Sorry about that. And I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all. I'm also planning on kind of a intro to trapping, if just kind of a run through for new folks that may have tuned in lately, of just some more basic stuff that I think would be helpful. And I've got a lot of content, video content on the website or on YouTube already. Just Google Coyote Trapping School, and I've got over 300 videos on there, so there's plenty to watch, and intend to keep it rolling this year with a semi-live trap line. We'll have a semi-live baby sometime this trapping season, so that may disrupt things a little bit, but I'm super excited about that. And otherwise, I hope y'all are ready, because during that trapping season is right around the corner. I still got traps that I got to get ready. I was going to do them this summer, and the summer's coming to an end. I still haven't got it done, although it's hot enough it still feels like summer. Can I get an amen if you're in the South anyway? But hopefully we got some cool weather, maybe a little bit of rain coming sometime soon. So anyway, y'all have a good one, and we'll catch you next time.